Dustin Poirier entered the Octagon to pays the cost to be the boss. Well, it also pays out if you bet on the boss. Poirier, via knockout in the second round, paid one William Hill bettor big time at plus 270 on a $200,000 wager. 740,000 big ones coming the way of one William Hill U.S. bettor who laid it all on Dustin Poirier at UFC 257. Joining me now to add some context to the conflict, CBS Sports combat analyst Brian Campbell and the legend UFC Hall of Famer Sugar Rashad Evans. Wow. I mean, guys, Dustin Poirier dismantles the right calf of Conor McGregor and then shuts the lights out in the second round. Rashad, I'm not sure I have the words at this moment, but that's where you come in. What did we just witness?
I mean, we just witnessed Dustin Poirier really come of age. I mean, you've seen the wars that he was in prior fights. Now you've seen the fruit of all those wars in this fight here with Conor McGregor. And it was just a fantastic fight from the very beginning. Getting him down to the ground, getting Conor to expend some energy and use that left arm to fight off the defense of the takedown, all the while getting that left arm tired. And then when he got back up to his feet, that left hand just wasn't what it was in the beginning of the fight. And then you add on it the leg kicks. The leg kicks really caused Conor some problems that he really didn't anticipate, and you just seen it. When you take the legs out of a fighter, it really messes up their power in their punches, and you've seen that with Conor McGregor. But Dustin Poirier in the stretch with the exchange, I mean, that's what all those wars do. You get to the point where you're just fighting and it's a dog fight and you're in the and you're trying not to brawl, but all those brawls paid off tonight because he brawled at the perfect time and put Conor away with some nasty shots.
Yeah, it's not like we haven't seen Conor McGregor lose before in the UFC, right? But all the situations in which we had seemed to have been the same. He ran out of gas against Nate Diaz in their first fight, and he was ragdolled on the ground against Khabib Nurmagomedov in their big title fight. We'd never seen anyone do exactly this to Conor McGregor, the big slugger, which is stand in the pocket, take his best, and have something else for him and stop him. That's the stunning nature of this, knowing at age 32 that Conor McGregor was going to have no excuses coming into this fight. He was in the very best shape. He had the preparation, he had the time, he had everything he needed. But Dustin Poirier is truly a living legend, and he did flip the script. We had talked so much coming in. Is McGregor ready to author a true second chapter to his elite prime with a victory here? Could he get Khabib out of retirement? All of that, much ado about nothing. Dustin Poirier now 12-2 since his first loss to Conor McGregor in 2014. And the who of who he's defeated along the way is basically every name the division has had to offer. If Khabib doesn't fight again, put the crown on Poirier's head.
He definitely did a whole lot right here, Dustin Poirier, through that round and a half. Conor was not without his moments in this fight either. He was measuring, he was striking, working the right, getting the left involved. We saw some of those cowboy shoulder strikes as well. When you look at the tactics and the strategy that Conor rolled out in this one, Rashad, where could he have gone differently, or did you like the pace he was keeping? What did he need to amend in that fight to see a different outcome here?
Well, Conor has a really good front kick, and I think he didn't utilize his front kick, and I think that his front kick, when he utilizes it correctly, it offers him the space that he likes to have, and it offers him the range that he likes to have, and has another barrier for his opponents to get past before they fall into that sneaky left hand that he cleverly puts in there so well. So I think the leg game was really missing from Conor. He threw a couple leg kicks up top that really wobbled Dustin just from a balance standpoint. And even one looked like Dustin blocked it, but the concussiveness of that blow kind of stumbled Dustin a bit. And you can tell that if Conor would have kept going back to the well with some kicks, he may have caught Dustin slipping. But I think the fault on Conor tonight was he didn't get his legs into the game enough, and he allowed Dustin to land those, find a home for that leg kick without making him pay too much.
Yeah, I don't have a ton of negative to say to Conor about here. I mean, look, he was physical in the standing clinch. He certainly seemed to rattle Poirier at times with sharp strikes. But take key into note what Conor said after. And one thing you can say about McGregor, win or lose, he's an incredible loser from the standpoint of always sort of saying the right thing, giving credit to the other side. What he did sort of say is, look, there's no substitute for activity, for being consistent. That's one thing Conor McGregor has not been. This just, of course, his third fight since 2016, and even that second one back against Cowboy Cerrone to open 2020. We only got 40 seconds to see what he had, how much he'd grown and evolved, and for him to really test that inside the cage. This came down in the end to Dustin Poirier being as active and consistently match tough as anyone, made the right adjustments, figured out a path to victory. I did like afterwards when Conor McGregor was sort of faced with the question, will we see you again? He said, of course, I got to get back. I got to be active. I need the rounds. I need the fights. That's good news if you're a Conor McGregor fan and where he sort of stands right now, knowing that the money he's earned, he could easily go the route of celebrity fighter. It seemed, though, that he realized he was outmatched, outgunned in this one, and he wants to get back on the type of schedule that can prevent this type of ending.
Yeah, we'll get to the future for Conor, Dustin, and the division in just a bit here, but Conor McGregor is a guy that seems to live in the certainty of his abilities, Rashad. When you're a fighter and you have those abilities and that certainty shaken in the way it was here on Saturday night, what does that do to the mental of a fighter as he moves forward and does look for more action, more activity?
Well, it's reconstruction. You know, you go back home, you cry it out, you mourn. You have to mourn. You have to feel that. And if you don't mourn, then it comes back later on. So I think that when Conor goes back, he's going to take his time. He's going to feel this loss, but he's going to rebuild himself. And rebuilding himself is going back and looking at that film, which is going to be hard for him to watch, but just really dissecting it from the standpoint of, you know, what could have I done better, and how what didn't I bring to this fight that I left maybe in the training room. But at the end of the day, you know, Conor's a champion, and Conor's, you know, he's lost before, and he's come back and had some tremendous fights after that. But now it's a bit different, because now he's kind of in a weird space where, you know, now he needs time, he needs more fights, he needs more reps. But if he takes a chance and he goes against someone else who's at a lower level, then he loses there. Now we're on a skid, and then now the depression really starts and it really hits. So, I mean, Conor's got some really tough decisions, but at the end of the day, it starts with a long look in the mirror.
And look, we dominated the pre-fight build-up to this, talking about who? Conor McGregor, right? Because he attains so much attention anytime he does anything. But really, let's not forget about the narrative coming in for Dustin Poirier. We had told that story, that narrative, just 2 years ago when he finally did get his title shot against Khabib Nurmagomedov. He had, as he would have said, 25 minutes to make all things right. He lost that fight, and he lost that fight badly. Let's not overlook the proper praise we need to give Poirier for the things he did outside the ring, which is not let that loss rattle him the same way he rebounded to the 2014 loss to Conor McGregor and started the path now to become who he is. To lose that one-sided a fight when you finally make it to the championship level and come back the way he did, to outslug Dan Hooker in a 5-round war in 2020 and walk in there and be the first man to stop Conor McGregor in the UFC on strikes. This is just, again, a living legend. Words that are not too strong to talk about the 32-year-old Poirier. He might be the best in class at 155 pounds. We're going to find out what the future brings. But this is how you respond to a loss, and this is how you get back in there and show your toughness and show your all-time greatness. That's Dustin Poirier on this night.
You call him best in class. Let's talk about that class. Still plenty up in the air. And last time I checked, there's only one lightweight strap, and it's being held hostage right now. BC, I need you to play matchmaker. If you're Dana White right now, what do we see next at 155?
So here's the problem. Look, every time the microphone's been in front of Khabib, he's telling you he doesn't want to come back. Why has Dana been almost not listening to that or holding out hope in the maybe? It was for the potential of Conor McGregor winning. Why? Because McGregor, Nurmagomedov won, shattered the pay-per-view records. A rematch could have done even more damage financially, so to speak. What do they do now, though? I don't think Poirier, as much respect that Khabib has for him, is the type of fighter standing here left atop the lightweight mountain that's going to make Khabib risk it all and go back in there. He made the promise to his family. Every time you hear Nurmagomedov talk, it seems to be, that's it, I'm done. Let's let him be done. Let's take the belt off of him and strip him. But do you need anything else from what we saw tonight at UFC 257 to show you what the next fight should be for that vacant UFC lightweight title? Michael Chandler. He through Dan Hooker in surprising fashion in the co-main event on this Saturday night, made an incredible debut after a great career in Bellator, now finally in the Octagon. these might be the two best lightweights standing remaining after Khabib walks away for good, which is everything he says he will do. Give me Poirier and give me Chandler. Obviously, also Charles Oliveira is in this discussion as well, coming off an incredible win over Tony Ferguson. He's on a win streak himself. But it's Poirier's time. Let's not talk about Khabib anymore. Let's not talk about Conor. Let's get him in there against the very best. If it's Oliveira, it's Chandler, you're going to see some great fights in this division.
Yeah, I thought there was a chance that Khabib may come back, and it was if Conor won. It kind of seemed as if like he wasn't too he was kind of hot and cold about it. I've seen a couple interviews that he did, and looking and reading into it like I do a lot of things, I can kind of see there may have been a place, may have been a spot where they might be able to sneak in the window and get him to take that fight. But with Dustin winning the way he did, I think that it just solidified Khabib's just decision to just stay away from the sport. I think he's going to be like, you know what, I made the right decision, and he's going to let Dustin shine the way that he definitely deserved to. When you beat the people that Dustin Poirier have beat, and you're not a champion, it's unbelievable. You know what I'm saying? Because the role that he just went through, I don't think a champion can go through. Khabib, didn't go through such a well, pretty close to it. but I'm saying like Dustin Poirier is showing that he deserves to be that #1 guy. And like BC was saying, I definitely think that Michael Chandler is the next title shot for this belt, him and Dustin Poirier.
Well, Dustin Poirier has very much earned his moment in the sunlight here on Saturday night. But I do want to close things out on a Conor McGregor-centric note. Guys, he's 32 years old. He's a former multi-divisional champion, burgeoning whiskey empire, world on a string. And then you have the stark imagery of him laying battered in the corner of the Octagon here on Saturday night. BC, as you look forward to the future for Conor McGregor, not just Conor the fighter, but Conor the businessman, how often do you think we should see him, or how often do you think we will see him in this coming year, as he now does have to earn his way back into that top contender form that all of these other fighters that you've named at 155 are currently in?
Well, look, if Conor wants to stay in this title picture, which is what he said afterwards, obviously his name carries so much weight, it would be a shorter path for him to get back to a title than anyone else. Poirier, to his credit in the post-fight interview, said, look, Conor beat me once. I got one win against him. Let's do a trilogy. A third fight between the two of those for the title, should Poirier end up with it, is still big business. That is still something major for Conor to shoot for. But I think you just have to take into totality, though, the statements he made, which I just referenced after the fight, and everything he said in these 2 weeks building up to this fight when he was doing a series of interviews. He does not seem to be chasing the whole idea of being a celebrity fighter. Was a Manny Pacquiao boxing crossover in play heading into this? Yes. But outside of that, you're hearing Conor say, I need to be busy. I want to fight 3 times this year. I want to fight 4 times this year. I think that competitive side of him that we saw in that incredible rise in 2015 and 16, it's back. This was a tough loss for all things considered, but to hear the positivity of his words afterwards, almost saying, I'm going to go back to the gym, I'm going to fix this. We are still, again, Khabib or not, in a historically deep lightweight division for the UFC. If we can see Conor come back, there's still Tony Ferguson, there's still Justin Gaethje, there are still so many names you'd love to see him against. I think there is a path to get to that third fight to Poirier. I predict, if there is a prediction here, that Conor stays on that path. He can fight Nate Diaz a third time anytime he wants, but he just got humbled. What does Conor do when he gets humbled in the cage? He looks for any chance to get back and prove it against that guy that he got wronged or he screwed up, and he can fix it. That's the competitor inside of McGregor. At 32, there's still enough of that prime window left to try to find out if he can do it again.
Yeah, Conor's a competitor 100%, but the thing is, who do you match him up with? And at the end of the day, that's the hard part for the matchmakers, because, you have a guy at Conor McGregor who's worth so much. You can't just put him against anybody, because at the end of the day, you still have to keep that stock pretty high. And you don't want any fighter that he fights, he ends up changing their life just because of the whole pay structure, and then that fighter's not the same anymore. So it's a really hard structuring process if you're picking the fights for McGregor in his next fight, and he wants to stay busy. It's going to be very hard for him not to be in there with somebody as tough, or pretty along the lines as tough as a Dustin Poirier, because like BC was saying, the 155 division is absolutely stacked with talent. It's absolutely stacked with talent, and there are no easy fights. So the road back to Dustin Poirier is going to be a hard, bumpy, rocky road. And if Conor McGregor wants to get that chance back, he's going to have to strap it on, and he's going to have to really be ready for that rough ride and no excuses along the way, and get back to that mindset that he had when he didn't have any money. Because at the end of the day, waking up in silk sheets, it does make you soft.
Silk sheets and seeing diamonds, the road to 155 lined in diamonds. VVS 1 for Dustin Poirier. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
For more from our guys, be sure to download and subscribe the Morning Combat Podcast. You can also get involved with the conversation every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, live on YouTube at 11 Eastern Time. Download and subscribe the Morning Combat right now.
Want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis. No yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.